What's up, everybody? This is the next edition of the Culturally Woke Republican. I'm Sean Ferrer. I really enjoy the idea that I've been getting so many views on my podcast. I never really thought that would actually happen, but I really want to go right into my intro on this show due to the fact that I saw something on TikTok today that, as far as I'm concerned, is very appalling. Especially for a father. Okay, I do understand that parents sometimes they indoctrinate their children. That's what parents are supposed to do. We're supposed to teach them our values, teach them, how to live, how to grow up, how to do all of these things. But there's levels of indoctrination. Okay, and that's where I draw the line. On the idea that, yeah, of course, like my son, I indoctrinate him on the idea of, living in a free society, standing up for your rights, making sure that you're polite. You say please and thank you, and things of that nature. This is all part of parenting. What this woman is doing to her daughter on TikTok is appalling, atrocious, and it's damaging. And it will be damaging in the future if she continues this type of behavior with her child. I actually don't even know her name. I don't even know her child's name. Okay, but this is a mother talking to a 6-year-old girl and asking her, well, who do you think you are? And she's like, well, I think, and she mumbles for a second and then goes, well, I don't know who I am. And the mother's like, well, do you think you're a boy or a girl? Now, right there, okay, because I've taken sociology and psychology, okay, right there, you're already implementing the statement in the mind. Do you think you're a boy or a girl? See the difference in, reflection in the voice? This is basic psychology. Basic sociology, basic reverse psychology, whatever you want to call it. It really doesn't matter to me. But at the same time, this is causing damage. And as far as I'm concerned, this is child abuse. You're trying to implement your own views, your own political views, or your own cultural views into a 6-year-old child. The hell is wrong with you? Ben Shapiro might not curse on his show, but I'll tell you what, I do. What in the hell is wrong with you? You sick, perverted individual. There's something wrong with you. To think. And I saw the little 6-year-old girl. She looks just like a girl. She has very long hair. It's blonde. And I'm not saying that, children always, to be pretty have to be blonde. Actually, I prefer brunettes, but it's just the idea that it's like, what are you trying to prove? What are you trying to indoctrinate into this child? Like, are you really going along with the leftist culture that far that you feel that you're going to brainwash your child into going along with that type of culture? There's something wrong there. And I think it needs to be addressed. I think that this mother needs to be held accountable. I don't agree with it. And I know for a fact that there is a lot of people on Twitter and TikTok that don't agree with it either. For the simple fact it's wrong. Forget the left and the right. Okay? But there is right and wrong. And, there are levels of right and wrong. Yeah, you say a little white lie. Guess what? Yeah, right and wrong. Yeah, whatever. But to do this to a child, this is child abuse. This mother is basically brainwashing her daughter to think she's a boy. Now, the only thing I always come to in my mind is maybe she wanted a boy in life, but you know what? Never got one. Okay, well, guess what? That's the luck of the draw. That's how God intended it. Guess what? You were going to have a daughter. I was going to have a son. That's the way it works. Okay, if I ended up having the 2 kids that I had, or I didn't have them, but I was involved. But if the 2 children that I've had turned out to be girls, I would just accept that. I'd just be like, well, you know what? Maybe I'm meant to raise daughters. Outstanding. I got, I guess, lucky enough, whatever you want to call it, but, I got fortunate enough, how about that? I like that term, to have boys, because raising girls is tough, from what I've heard. Now, let's jump into our 5 points. From the Blaze, there is an extreme police shortage in major cities in this country. And that is because of the narrative that the left has actually pushed on defund the police, abolish the police. Okay, and I'm just going to go through a couple of little numbers, okay, just to throw it out. Okay, the Blaze reported that Philly has lost 266 employees. These people are also, they're leaving by either resigning or they're leaving by retirement. Okay, but they're leaving in droves. Okay, New Jersey at an all-time low on applicants to be a New Jersey or Newark cop. I'm picking Newark because it's a pretty predominant city. There's Trenton, there's a bunch of them. Okay, but normally applicants for that police department are between 15,000 and 20,000 applicants a year. That's a year. Not 10 years, not 5 years, a year. Okay, now they're narrowing down. It comes out to about 2,000. Because guess what? Nobody wants to be a cop when cops are hated. Nobody wants to protect your home and carry a gun when they know for a fact that they can be prosecuted just about anywhere for anything. And God forbid it's a white cop that has to deal with a black assailant in this country right now. The heat is so high. Like, I feel for those people. I really do. I didn't want to go too far into that, and the reason why is because I actually need to do a little bit more information seeking on that. But it's actually happening everywhere. New York, Philadelphia, New Jersey. You know what I mean? These are major cities with a lot of crime. Do you really think it's a better idea for there to be less police on the street or more police on the street? You give me an answer in the comments. I can't wait to hear that one. Okay, my next topic for this show is masks. Okay, Joy Reid, I don't know if you know who she is. Okay, went on television the other day and basically straight up admitted that she went jogging that morning. And she lives in New York, so therefore she's jogging through the park, right? And she's wearing 2 masks, and she has been vaccinated. You see the problem here? Do you see what's going on? We're being led around like sheep. And someone like Joy Reid, okay, with first of all, I mean, terrific journalism there. But at the same time, this is a woman that literally will go on national television and tell the country, if not the world, who knows how many people are watching, that she has no problem wearing 2 masks even though she's been vaccinated. Now, the whole premise of the vaccinations was that, guess what? You get vaccinated, you get to go back to your regular life. Everything goes back to normal. What type of atmosphere are we projecting about vaccinations if we have people like Joy Reid, that everybody watches, saying that she still feels that she has to wear 2 masks to go jogging? First of all, I know I smoke cigarettes. You know, I'm in pretty good health. You know, I'm 41 years old and I'm a construction worker. I don't think that I'd be able to jog a mile down the road with one of those masks on my face. I think I would just fall out. Matter of fact, there was actually a report about a young girl in sports that did, I don't know whether it was a sprint or a marathon or something like that, but she won the marathon. But as soon as she went over the finish line, because she had to wear a mask the entire time. Okay, now I don't know if you people know anything about molecular biology or genetics or any type of biology. Okay, you weren't supposed to breathe in your own carbon dioxide. That's the reason why we expel it. That's the reason why plants breathe it in, and they give off oxygen, so that way we can friggin' live. We can survive. Okay, like that in itself just made me go, wow. Because the leftist narrative is, you know what, we're always going to be under quarantine. We're always going to have a mask on, you know, you're going to follow the sacred, all leftist God, Dr. Fauci. And, you know, we might never get back to normal. Never, ever. This is just going to continue. You know, that's the other thing I did want to touch on. Dr. Fauci, in the beginning, he came out, you know, and he was basically playing doctor. Okay, now I mean, if you watch him, his interviews or anything of that nature, it's like he's playing politics. He's playing politician. You want to know why? Because we gave him so much power and so much initiative to do this. No more. No more. Now I'll bring you into something recent. I probably should talk about these two topics vice versa, like, you know, like one in front of the other instead of the way I'm going to. But I'm really hell-bent on this Tim Scott being called Uncle Tim on Twitter. He's being called a token on the news. First of all, this is coming from the left, which states that everybody on the right is racist. Yeah. So because Tim Scott is a black Republican, it's okay to call him racist slurs. But God forbid a Republican did it. Oh, my God. The left would go insane. But as well as Maxine Waters. Maxine Waters actually just released an entire press conference or an interview where she basically said about what Tim Scott said in response on the Republican value of the congressional speech that Biden just did. And we're going to get to that in just a second. Okay, but she comes out and basically says that America is systemically racist, but Tim Scott was trying to mean that there are specific people in this country that aren't racist. Okay. This is coming from Maxine Waters, which, as of recent, during the Derek Chauvin trial, went to the city where the trial was being held and basically race baited. She went there to stir up trouble with the black community and basically stated, and it's on film, it's all on video, that if we don't get the verdict that we want, well, we need to become more confrontational. Black Lives Matter and Antifa basically just burnt down the country for the last 6 months. How much more confrontational do we need to become? I'm curious. I mean, what do we have to go to nuclear ordinance? Or, you know what I mean? Like, we all start carrying around bazookas and figure out which cop house, which precinct we want to blow up that day or something like that. I mean, where does it go to? How far does it go? I mean, is it going to go as far as, guess what? You know, the narrative that the media right now is starting to push is a civil war in this country. Could you imagine that? A civil war in this country. Okay? Which basically means that I'm sitting over here and you're across the street. But I don't know if you're on the left, and you don't know if I'm on the right. So therefore, I don't even know my enemy. Or why do we even have to be enemies? Why can't there be civil discussion? Why can't there be a exchange of views, difference of opinion? No. See, they don't want to hear that. It all has to address exactly what they want to hear and exactly how they want to hear it. Because guess what? If you're spewing the nonsense that they don't want to hear, but even though you backing it up with factual or statistic information, they don't want to hear it. Because it's going against the woke media. And they're the ones pushing the narrative. So, you know what I mean? I actually leave it on you to make your choice on how you feel you're going to side with this. I know where I stand. But at the same time, I mean, she says, you know, the entire country is racist. But Tim Scott probably didn't mean what he said. He probably meant this. How does that figure? How does that even work? The reason why is because Maxine Waters is basically a substandard politician. She always has been. She's not very intelligent. But you're talking about a woman that was for the riots for Rodney King way back when. Okay, yeah. Do I think what happened to Rodney King was illegal and wrong? Yes. Yes, I do. Do I believe that all 4 of those police officers should have gotten off? No. I think they all should have been processed for murder. But at the same time, do we need a race baiter out there encouraging the crowd to incite riots? To incite burning down local businesses? All they're doing is actually killing their own areas. I mean, that's the part that makes no sense to me. It's like, okay, well, you know, I used to like to go to Ted's Luncheonette down the street, but yeah, I went and rioted and we burned it down. So now it's not there anymore. What is the sense for that? What is the sense for that? I mean, how does that work? I want to know. I really do. Like, I want someone to tell me. Where is the sensible obligation to be able to burn down your own city, your own area, your own neighborhood, and feel that was going to be, that was justice? These poor business owners losing everything they have. For what? Some stupid narrative pushed by the media. I'm going to get into my 4th topic and has to do all about Biden. But I'm going to be right back. Okay, I'm going to take a little break. And trust me, you guys aren't going to want to miss this one. Okay, I'm back, guys. This is Sean Ferrer, the culturally woke Republican. Now on to my 4th topic. I take this one with great pride. So, as of recent, Joe Biden addresses Congress for the first time. A congressional meeting. It was basically invite only. Okay, and what I found really funny was the idea that there were a lot of Republicans that actually did show up, but they were all wearing masks, yet they were all vaccinated. Like, everybody in Congress at this point they're all vaccinated. They all have it. They you know what I mean? Like, think about it. You got 100 people in the room. Everybody is vaccinated twice. Why the mask? Because the narrative has to be pushed. Like we spoke about earlier, masks. You know what I mean? The narrative always has to be continuously pushed. And if it isn't, well, then they need to continue it even further or become more confrontational or something of that nature in order to keep the power. That's the way it works. Okay? So Biden addresses Congress. I actually watched it, and I fell asleep, as he did towards the end of his speech. The lies that this man spewed at a podium in Congress, in that chamber, was baffling. I mean, he literally went down the whole entire rabbit hole, where he went from everything from transgender to gay rights to racism. He basically, called Dumb and Dumber that were sitting behind him, which is Kamala Harris and Nancy Pelosi. That, I mean, this would be the first time any president has ever said that. Madam Vice President and Madam Secretary. Great. Super. I want to hear what you're going to do with the country. I could care less on who you're giving shout-outs to. Okay? But, as I said, the lies that he actually spewed on that stage was breathtaking. I mean, I don't think that if I actually went out of my way to lie, like blatantly lie, I don't think I could have done it as well. I mean, Joe Biden, career politician, 47, 48 years in office. Now he's the president of the United States. This man literally has lied and lied and lied through his entire career. He once locked arms with the KKK. Now he's preaching racism? Does that make any sense? No, it doesn't. But it's facts. This is where we've come to. This is how far the narrative is being pushed. And this is where it's come to. This is the end result. Okay, I'm really glad that I see a lot of people on the right pushing back about this. And this is where Tim Scott's whole entire response came from, was the idea that he's looking at Joe Biden going, the United States is not a racist country. Okay, we have so much diversity in this country, it's unbelievable. I mean, there's so many different races in this country. It's not like that in every other country. But you can go to other countries in the world, and guess what? You might not see a black person the entire time you live there. That could be years. Okay? Or you could go to other countries where you might not see a white person other than yourself if you are white. For years and years, all depending on how long you live there. Okay? This is the difference of us and other countries in the world. The diversity of our country is what basically binds us together, other than the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. Okay, these are the conservative values that conservatives try to hold on to. That's what it means to be a conservative, is to conserve moral values. We're trying to conserve our religions. We're trying to conserve our diversity. We're trying to conserve our Constitution, our Bill of Rights, the God-given rights, and then on top of it, the arbitrary rights that are given to us by the Constitution. That's what conservatives do. I consider myself a very right-wing conservative. So if you're listening to this and you don't like that view, you should probably change the channel. Now, I do want to get into 2 points, and I recently started doing this. First of all, I'm not a reporter and I'm not a journalist. I consider myself a political commentator. I hope that I can, live up to that status. But at the same time, I do want to start doing a few local stories. And I'll tell you why, because it feeds into the whole entire political nonsense that's been going on with the left for quite some time. Okay, and why these 2 stories are not national news, I will definitely elaborate and explain. Okay, give me 2 seconds. I'll be right back. Alright guys, I'm back. Let's get into local news. Okay, and when I say local, I mean I'm going to be hitting points from throughout the country. Okay, today I've picked 2. One from my local area, which was like 4 streets away. 4 streets. And also another article from Houston, Texas. Okay, let's get into Houston first. Okay, Houston, Texas. 5 people were arrested facing federal charges on 100 undocumented immigrants. They were all being housed, and now they're being charged, these 5 people, for harboring and concealing people, immigrants, undocumented immigrants, for financial gain. That's what this has come to. The border crisis, that's what's happening right there. See how it's a cause and effect. Cause and effect. That's the way that's everything in science. That's everything in journalism. That's everything in, just about anything that you can actually do in your life. There's always cause and effect. There's, you did something, well, guess what? There's consequences. That's the way this works. Okay? They'll be appearing before a federal judge on today, Monday. Okay, and they possibly are, if they get convicted, they face 10 years in prison or a $250,000 fine. What makes no sense to me about this story is the idea that, okay, so I don't know for sure, but I'm kind of, you know what, I'm not even going to go there. I think those 5 people should be deported. I think those 5 people shouldn't waste our justice system and waste our tax dollars to prosecute them. I think that they should be sent back or sent to whatever country those undocumented friggin' immigrants were from. And maybe see why they decided to take that type of risk to be exploited just like that by these 5 people. See why they left there. Now, do I believe in illegal immigration? No. Actually, at this point, I think our country is basically on fire, and we really need to come to terms on who we are before we let anybody else in, because we don't even know where we're going at this point. I mean, we can't even decide which bathroom to use at this point. So we're gonna take into other countries' problems. That makes no sense to me whatsoever. Okay, but here's another narrative. And I'm going to show you, this is going to be right off the top of my head. There's no notes. No notes on this one. Okay, right here in Largo, Florida, a 19-year-old, as of recent, right off of 8th Avenue, broke into a home and then killed a mother and a daughter while they slept. The 19-year-old had no priors. I'm not going to say his name because we don't... Michael Knowles, Ben Shapiro, there's a bunch of us that we don't exonerate killers. So I don't really care what his name is. I just care what he did, and I care how he's prosecuted. Okay? But I did find out a little bit of information from some locals that turned out one of them works at one of my jobs. I actually have 2 jobs, and then this job. And he knew the kid. So the story goes that this kid had been at some friends' houses and they had apparently taken LSD. Okay, and of course this kid already had mental underdeveloped problems. I really don't know the specifics of his mental problems. The person that I was interviewing stated to me that he already had mental problems. Anyway, so apparently, this kid basically lost his mind over 2 days. Let's make a long story short. So, he basically got told to leave from the house that he was at because he was giving off a really weird vibe and they didn't like it and they had to get some rest or whatever it was. I'm assuming it's a couple because the way he explained it to me, it sounded like, a boyfriend and girlfriend. They're like, look, we need to get to bed and, whatever. So he walks up to the Chevron, which is, like I said, about 4 blocks away. Okay, and he goes in there, he comes out, he's sitting in the parking lot. Now, mind you, high as a kite. He sees a mother and a daughter walk out of the Chevron. And they walk down 8th Avenue, which is right there at the corner of the Chevron. Okay, down to almost the Pinellas Trail, which is where their house was. He watches them. He follows them. He goes to the house. He waits for them to turn the lights out. And then he crawls in a window. Goes in the kitchen. And to his statement, and I quote, "I went to the kitchen and grabbed the biggest butcher knife that I could find so I could kill them quickly." That was his statement to the police. Pinellas County Sheriff, Largo, whichever one arrested him. I really don't know. I don't really care. I'm just happy he's behind bars. But at the same time, here's the point. One, that 19-year-old kid just took 2 generations of a family. 2 generations that could have produced more generations in that family line. Okay, that part I hate. Okay, and then the other thing is, it didn't apparently fit with the narrative of the left media. Because this is not a national news story. This is just a sweep it under the rug. Who cares? Nobody's really going to know. You want to know why? Because it's a white-on-white crime. If that would have been 2 black women and some 19-year-old white boy walked up in there and stabbed them to death, you don't think that would have been national news? I'd have had Black Lives Matter all marching up and down Clearwater to Largo Road right here. All day long. But it's not going to happen. Because it's a white-on-white crime. So who cares about them, right? You know, it's like, it always brings me back to, like, Ashley Babbitt. The only undeserved, like, the only protester that was murdered at the Capitol Hill riots. And I don't even want to call them riots. I mean, it was like, you know, like 40, 50 people, or maybe 100 people, whatever it was. Got into the Capitol. Yeah, they took Nancy Pelosi's laptop. They took pictures of themselves in the chamber and all that kind of stuff. But, I mean, that is not an insurrection. That is not, like, that's not really, not compared to Black Lives Matter or Antifa. When they riot, they burn down cities. The Capitol building, as far as I know, is still standing. Nothing burned. But nobody even knows or even recognizes who Ashley Babbitt was. Because it's a white woman that was protesting and walked into the Capitol building illegally, apparently. Which, by the way, if you go to the Capitol building, or at least in the past, and you go to walk through the front door, they actually just let you in. Like, security guards actually just open the doors. So, you know, that being said, nobody knows who Ashley Babbitt was. And nobody's going to know who these 2 women were. Nobody's probably even going to know who that kid was. Well, why? Why? What? You know what I mean? Yeah, he was on drugs. Yeah, he was high as a kite. But there were mental issues that were in check way before he ever took the drugs. Why is it that we're not going to know about that? Because it doesn't fit the media's narrative. The media's narrative is racism. If it's white on white, doesn't matter. If it's black on black, doesn't matter. If it's black on white, it still doesn't matter. It has to be white on black. That's the way it works. I mean, I feel like I'm playing roulette with politics, or what's that other one with the white and black chips? Othello? Yeah, that's what it is. Othello. Like with politics and news today, that's what I feel like I'm playing. Well, let's see. You know what I mean? All right, well, is this gonna fit? Is this gonna fit? Who knows? But I did want to give you 2 what I consider local